Indecision is a vicious beast. Hey, this is D. It's me again. Still working my way home, but getting a lot closer. I'm in Santa Fe, New Mexico, just about 6 hours from home. And yet it still seems like 1,000 miles away. Weather's still an issue. I might be here an extra day because right now it's snowing on the Front Range, not heavily but lightly, and the temperatures are around zero with ice warnings and travel warnings. So Tuesday, the next day, looks a lot better, and that just makes a lot of sense to stay one more night here. I'm familiar with Santa Fe, used to spend a lot of time here, so do a little shopping, go check out some things, get some exercise would be good. I haven't gotten a lot of that lately. And then have a safe drive up on Tuesday. And yet, again, I am not sleeping, and I am going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth about whether or not to try to drive home. I don't think I can get home tomorrow. I might be able to. Or even to drive up to Pueblo or Colorado Springs on the way up to Denver. I pull up maps at night. I pull up weather forecasts. I study them incessantly. This is what I've been doing for the last week. Well, not quite a week, for the last 5 days, trying to get home. Every night, I don't sleep well, and get a couple hours, 2 or 3 hours sleep, and then I obsess about the travel, and then I get in the car and I start driving, and I don't take good care of myself on the road because I have to be careful about my stomach and my urinary, so I'm not drinking as much on the road, fluids, and I'm not eating as well because there's only certain things I can eat that don't upset my stomach, and I'm tired. I know this isn't a huge problem. Some people are in far worse weather trying to drive and get home, and many people are dealing with far worse things than I am, but for me right now, this has been difficult. So I got to sleep for maybe an hour or two. It was noisy here in this hotel, so I didn't sleep too well, and then I got to sleep about, I don't know, maybe midnight, and slept till about 2, I think, and woke up. So right now it's like 3:30 in the morning, and I figured I might as well be productive, so I might as well pull up my recorder here and talk to you. But one of the things that anxiety does to us, and this I've really noticed since I've come off the benzodiazepines, the anti-anxiety drugs, and everything's been so heightened, and that is indecision. It's a lot harder for me to make a decision and stick with it without just overthinking it to death, especially important decisions, but even the most moderate decision. I want nothing more than to get home to see my wife, who I haven't seen in almost 3 weeks. My home, my dog. I just want to get home. But yesterday morning I drove through ice, and I don't want to do that again right away. Yesterday was an 11 and a half hour drive. I don't know the total miles, I haven't figured that out, but anyway, it was a long drive from San Antonio, Texas, over up through Carlsbad, New Mexico, and then on up into Santa Fe, New Mexico. After the first 3 hours, the weather was better, and I just kept putting the miles behind me. But I was really looking forward to getting to Santa Fe, thinking, okay, I'm going to spend just a day there the next day. My plan was to stay because I knew the weather getting all the way home wasn't good. I'll stay here. I'm going to drive 11 and a half hours instead of breaking it up into 2 days and just get here. And then I have a day just to relax and recoup and sleep, which I'm not doing very well, and everything else. But my mind is not letting me do that. I don't know how many of you struggle with that. I think many of you do. For me, my mind, of course, is my worst enemy when it comes to my mental health. Well, that makes sense because, that's your mind. It is mental. So, but it's just, I can't turn it off. I want that off switch. Right now, I like nothing more than to turn off any thoughts about travel. Tuesday looks like it's a much better day for traveling. It's a 6-hour drive home from here. I can do that, be home by early afternoon, all is set. And yet I'm going to still obsess about that drive. I'm still going to worry about it. And I need nothing more than just to let that go so I can sleep. And then I worry, well, all this is going to catch up with me, this lack of sleep I've had, the stress on the road. What if I should just push through and get home before all that comes crashing down? And I know it's going to come crashing down at some point. But I just don't want to drive through icy conditions again. My nerves are fried, and I'm afraid I'm not at my best. But if I'm not sleeping, am I going to be any better tomorrow? It's stuff like this crap that I go through over and over and over again. I'm so tired of it. And this has showed itself to me a lot in the last few years, this indecision. And so often it happens at night when you just want nothing more than to turn your brain off and to let it shut down. And I know so many things on good sleep hygiene, and I'm doing some of them and not others. I had, straight drives today, so I didn't get any exercise, and I know getting out and getting my body moving will help me sleep. Maybe that's what I do today, is take some long walks and just really get my body feeling better. It's about 30s. I think it's supposed to be high in the 30s here today, which isn't great for walks outside, but I got clothes for it and I can do it. That's the other reason why heading north doesn't look too good, is as soon as I cross into Colorado, the highs are about 0 tomorrow, or this morning, I guess today. I guess it's today now. So today, the highs are about 0 with a chance of snow. Not a good time to get home. Tomorrow, the highs are in the 30s, and that's the day I'm looking to drive home with no chance of snow, so I just save it for that. It just makes more sense. If I could just get my brain to turn off and I could get some sleep and I could relax a little bit here in Santa Fe. I feel bad making my wife, take care of everything in the house for one more day, but I don't know what else to do right now. I just canceled an event. I tried to cancel an event. I think I canceled it for Wednesday, where I was supposed to speak in front of a group virtually, and I know I had to cancel it even if I'm home tomorrow. There's no way I can do this. I'm just going to collapse when I get home and crash and just try to reset myself. So I don't know. So I'm curious for you all where your indecision lies. Does it creep in the middle of the night or early mornings like mine does? Because I mean, that makes sense. Your brain's not on other things, and that's just where it kicks in. But man, it's just hard. What kind of topics are there? I mean, mine are often things that are, no, it's just everything most of the time. This last one's been travel. I mean, I've driven almost 4,000 miles so far on this trip, and I'm ready to be done driving. It'd be nice. So far, this podcast has been pretty jumbled. I realize that. But I just wanted to start it. I just wanted to get it going. I had dinner with a good friend in Baton Rouge on the way back. Somebody has been listening to the podcast for a long time and shared with me how she listened to the podcast, and that often it was just, she couldn't sleep, so she'd turn on my podcast, and I'd be soothing to her. My voice was soothing, I guess, and my message, my positive message that everything's going to be okay, which this series may not be quite that way, but I still believe that. I truly believe that. But I also share when things are down, and I think sometimes it's good to connect with people when things are down, because how are you supposed to believe that I get it or that I understand if you don't hear me going through it sometimes? And that was the case with the Benzo Free podcast, and I feel like that's going to be the case here too, unless you hear me really struggling with anxiety. Then you don't really know I get it. And my anxiety is different than many people. I don't have the agoraphobia. I don't have the crippling anxiety that many people have. I was able to take this trip. It wasn't comfortable. A lot of it wasn't comfortable, and I was extremely agitated for a lot of it. Extremely agitated. Let's put it. I was heightened anxiety for most of the trip, especially driving home. But I get it. I get anxiety. I had moderate anxiety before I started taking benzodiazepines, even though I wasn't prescribed it for my anxiety. I was prescribed it for stomach distress, but I guess it's related. Well, of course it's related. But now, after the coming off the drugs, my anxiety was extremely heightened, and then it got a little better for a while. But then I got long COVID, and everything honestly took a turn again, and I'm back into a state with symptoms and anxiety that I was when I first came off those drugs. And I'm just saying all this stuff to you all so you understand, even if my anxiety and other symptoms related to that are chemically induced because it was taking a drug for a long time, and that was heightened. I've always had some anxiety, and it's just gotten a lot worse since I came off the drugs, but it's gotten better, and then it's gotten worse again, and it will get better. But I get it. I get it. I know what it's like, and that's part of why I'm recording these on this trip. So primary purpose for this trip, well, primary was a vacation. I wanted to get out and do things. But the real reason behind it all was to get myself out of my routine, out of my box, out of my comfort zone. To push things, and I did, and it was a success. I pushed things. Some didn't go as well as I hoped. Actually, some things that I thought I could push past the anxiety, and then you have more confidence and feel better next time. And that does happen a lot. But sometimes pushing through the anxiety just heightens your anxiety, and then heightens it for everything else that comes along. And I think that's what happened on this trip. So indecision, heightened anxiety, insomnia, some very big cornerstones of what we'll deal with here. Anxiety, of course, is that life and anxiety are the focus. And we'll talk relationships. We're going to talk, a little politics, but that's not our focus. But it's hard not to touch on those when they affect us so much. We'll talk about triggers. We're going to talk about everything that's going on there, terminology and studies and everything. But I'm just kicking it off with a road trip. So tomorrow, or today, I guess, once the daylight kicks in here, I have a decision to make. Do I push through the bad weather just because I can't handle, I don't want to go through another day and a half of anxiety just waiting here? Or do I just find a good distraction, try to have a plan, stay here in Santa Fe one more day? Hope I don't suddenly have a crash and get sick and make the drive home really hard. And then try it on Tuesday. I know that's the smart choice. But boy, my anxiety makes it very difficult for me to stick with an answer. What I would need right now is a switch to turn my brain off for the next 24 hours. Just turn it off. Let myself hang out here, recoup, rest to get myself in a good state. And then drive home on Tuesday. That makes sense. But the question is, can I turn my brain off enough today to let that happen? I don't know. I don't know. I promise this will have some more answers and things we can talk about to help us get better. This isn't all just going to be a diatribe of Dee's experiences on the road and dealing with anxiety, but maybe it's a good way to start to kind of get everybody introduced and say, hey, especially anybody new to this podcast that hasn't listened to my other one, but just say, hey, this is what I've gone through. I want you to understand that I get it. I deal with it every day. And we can make life better. And that's really the focus, is how to make our lives better with this. And even though this is starting out negative because I'm dealing with so much along the way, I truly believe we can make it better. And that's where I want to turn this to focus on, is how can we improve our lives? How can we ease our anxieties? How can we live a more meaningful and joyful life? I think that's the focus of this podcast. So I hope you keep tuned in. I'm going to let you go now. I'm going to roll over and, listen to a meditation or something and see if I can get any more sleep. I hope you got some sleep or are getting some sleep. Please take care of yourself. This life is hard. It's hard a lot of the time, but it's worth it. It's worth it just to push through because there's so much good. It may not seem like that for some people, especially if you're in an extreme state of some kind. But I believe in my core that life gets better. It's worth living. We're going to get there. The problems I'm dealing with right now on this drive are not that serious compared to what so many other people are dealing with. And yet to me, I've turned them into this big thing. Hey, I got an extra day in Santa Fe. Go down to the plaza, go shopping, find something nice for my wife, which would be great. And take my time and then come back, sit in the hot tub, relax tonight, get a good night's sleep, and hit the road tomorrow. Wow. And get some good food. Oh, I got some great Mexican food last night at Maria's. I love Maria's. Hit that when I come in town. But if only I could turn my brain off. enough to do that. And I'm going to try to. That's my goal today, is to keep myself busy, get a bunch of exercise walking around, turn my brain off enough so that I can somewhat enjoy the day and not obsess too much about the drive home. And I'll probably take some more PM meds tonight just to kind of help myself sleep. I've been taking them too much lately. But I need some sleep tonight before I hit the road. So, well, that's the plan. That's the plan. You take care of yourself, okay? Life is good. It's definitely worth living. We all have dark moments. We all have dark times. I'm having some right now. I have depression. I know that. And I have extreme states of anxiety right now. But I also know on the other side I'm going to get through this. And I'm going to get home. Take care, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Hey, this is Dee. Thank you so much for stopping by and checking out our podcast. I do need to remind everyone that this podcast is for informational purposes only and should never be considered medical, psychological, or professional health advice of any kind. If you or someone you know is dealing with significant mental health issues, please seek professional help. Resources can be found in our show notes and on our website at unevenpodcast.com. Take care of yourself, and I'll catch you on the flip side.